Good evening, residents, family, friends, and elected officials. Thank you for joining me this evening. Last year, we joined together in the Everett City Council chambers to swearing new members of our city government, as well as provide a State of the City address. There were over 200 people gathered in the chambers, hugging, smiling, laughing. We celebrated, and I had the privilege of informing our residents about the city's bold and innovative plans for 2020. Little did we know, 2 months later, that our city, our state, and our country would be facing challenges unlike any other in our lifetime. The COVID-19 pandemic was unexpected and unwelcomed. The Everett community faced challenges that no one could have ever imagined. However, the people of Everett displayed their strength and their resiliency. On behalf of Stacy and myself, from the bottom of our hearts, we would like to personally thank each and every one of you for every sacrifice you have made for the betterment of our city. I have never been more proud to be your mayor. Our community has lost 67 precious lives as a result of the virus. I would like now to take a moment of silence to recognize those we have lost. To those of you who have lost someone who have endured the worst during this pandemic has to offer, please know that you have been and will remain in our thoughts and prayers. On March 12th, I made one of the toughest decisions I have ever made as mayor. After witnessing the devastation the virus had caused throughout Europe, we closed our doors at Everett City Hall, and we worked with our new superintendent of schools to temporarily close school buildings. We received harsh criticism for these choices. We did this before the state and before any other municipality in the Commonwealth. It was an aggressive move, but a decision that I have no regrets for making. In hindsight, these choices may have saved the lives of many. On the topic of saving lives, to our first responders, our police department, fire department, EMS services, and 911 dispatchers, thank you. Your unwavering commitment to our city, our people, and their safety is inspiring. To our medical professionals, nurses, doctors, medical and hospital staff, and long-term care personnel, thank you. You selflessly put your lives on the line to protect and care for our residents during a global pandemic. We will never forget the sacrifices that were made for our community. To our frontline workers, our grocery store employees, members of the U.S. Post Office, our restaurant workers, delivery drivers, and city staff, thank you. When others had the luxury of working from home, you confronted the pandemic head on and provided our community with the essentials needed during an unprecedented time. To our educators, thank you. Your ability and willingness to adapt and provide for our students the future of Everett is much appreciated. You provided not only an education, but mental health support, friendship, and some sort of normalcy during a time which will likely be regarded as the most unsettled time of their young lives. To our volunteers who donated their time at the food pantry, at the Grace Ministries food pantry, Irene and Bobby, and all your helpers, thank you. Our social and human service organizations, our meal delivery service, and many community organizations, thank you. Your readiness to serve others during a time that was so uncertain is truly admirable. And to all those who I did not mention, I'm sure there is someone I missed, thank you. The city of Everett is forever grateful for all you have done to keep our city safe during a time of crisis. We physically closed the doors of Everett City Hall in March, but our employees worked diligently to continue to serve our residents and their growing needs. We quickly became one of the first virtual city halls in the state. We were able to provide assistance and guidance to other mayors around the state when they discovered that our virtual model was working so well. Our 311 call center remained open with no days off, providing direct assistance in answering constituent questions while giving reassurance that their city was there for them. 311 alone served over 47,000 residents. By the end of March, the city's beloved Conley Center was transformed into a food distribution hub, serving 2,000 people during their weekly Wednesday pantry. We have distributed over 1.2 million pounds of food to those in need. We quickly realized that some of our residents were homebound and couldn't make it to the Conley Center for food. We swiftly developed our Meals to Go program, where hot meals and groceries are delivered directly to the homes of our seniors. We have delivered approximately 120,000 meals directly to Everett residents. One of the city's greatest qualities is our cultural diversity. In a time when connection to our heritage could bring comfort, we quickly partnered with our local nonprofits, Luma, Elliott Family Resource Center, La Comunidad, and the North Shore Evangelical Church, to serve over 10,000 culturally diverse meals to our residents while taking their preference into account. We partnered with the World Central Kitchen and Off the Plate to provide 500 meals per week. Through this program, we served 15,000 meals to Everett residents. During a time of so much uncertainty, it has been crucial to make sure that families did not have to worry about putting food on the table. Because most of us were homebound, we were unable to physically see and interact with our social and professional circles. Who would have thought that a computer app with such an amusing name would be our lifeline? Yes, I'm talking about Zoom. We Zoomed with the Everett High School class of 2020 to ensure that they were involved in the planning of Everett's first ever drive-through graduation. We Zoomed with our state and federal leaders. We Zoomed with our social organizations and clergy to ensure their needs were met. We provided masks and disinfectant services to both clergy and local organizations alike to allow them to safely conduct their business with those they served. We Zoomed with 60 Everett teens who were hired to assist city departments amidst the pandemic while allowing these teens to financially provide for their families. We Zoomed with 120 immigrant students to provide them with free English classes. We Zoomed with local health leaders with our teams in City Hall. We Zoomed with the City Council and the school committee in an effort to remain unified during a time when we were physically separated. Needless to say, most of us are ready to Zoom into 2021. As April and May approached, COVID restrictions forced businesses to close and employees were laid off. The inability of residents to pay their mortgages and rents became abundantly clear. I am proud to tell you that the city, through our CARES Act funding, has been and will continue to distribute up to $5,000 to individual residents and $10,000 to families to support mortgage and rental relief. Through the CARES Act, the city was originally granted $4.2 million, but we soon realized that our city's needs were far greater. In October, the city applied for additional CARES Act funding, which we were denied. Needless to say, I wasn't giving up. Right before Christmas, we received notification from Governor Baker that we would receive an additional $3.1 million. I think he and the Lieutenant Governor were basically sick of hearing from me. To help our small businesses, the city applied for and received a $400,000 grant through DHCD. These funds are currently being used to aid Everett small businesses. The payment of utility bills also became an obstacle during these times. At the outset of the pandemic, the cities partnered with the United Way to distribute more than $220,000 to local social organizations, who then redistributed the funds to residents in need of utility assistance. This helped families to stay warm and have one less bill to worry about when they were facing economic hardship. 2020 was a year of firsts. And as a city, we were determined not to sacrifice the events that bring us together as a community. So we found creative ways to celebrate our firsts. We held a virtual flag raising ceremony to celebrate Haitian Heritage Month. We conducted the city's first Pride and Brazilian flag raising ceremonies. We organized a socially distant Memorial Day ceremony in Glenwood Cemetery to honor those who had made the ultimate sacrifice. We came together virtually to deliver a Veterans Day event honoring our bravest heroes. We celebrated the holiday season both virtually and socially distant. Our Christmas celebration turned into a drive-through winter wonderland where over 1,000 children received toys from the city. Our annual menorah lighting ceremony was done in person with Rabbi Barron while inviting residents to view it electronically. And our annual tree lighting ceremony was celebrated virtually with only Stacy, Bishop Brown, and myself in attendance. And yes, for the first time in the city's history, I declared racism a public health crisis in the city of Everett. As a result of this, we developed a Diversity and Equity Advisory Board, which includes a diverse group of members of the Everett community ranging from clergy to members of the school administration and elected officials. This board has been tasked with providing a welcoming atmosphere for members of our community to freely share their experiences and concerns. This board is in the process of reviewing the police use of force policies, engaging community members to hear their experiences and stories, and will report findings to me and the community. Once they share their findings and recommendations with the administration, I promise to work diligently to address any issues that will help our residents feel safe and included. Additionally, members of the administration have been meeting bi-weekly with members of the Everett Safe and Welcoming Coalition. The coalition was formed out of a group of Everett residents that advocate for the diverse community members living in the city. We truly value this organization and are grateful for their time and commitment to bringing issues and concerns to our attention. In order to improve our language accessibility and communication with residents, we have contracted with Lionbridge, Inc., a language provider. The city can now provide on-demand translation services in over 360 languages, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. As mayor, I will continue to embrace the diversity that exists in our great community. There is no tolerance for racism in our city, and you have my word that my administration will constantly strive toward ensuring equity and equality for people of all backgrounds, heritages, sexual orientations, genders, creeds, and economic statuses. Our city must be one in which every resident is able to peacefully share and exchange ideas, one where we can respect and celebrate our differences, and one where we are united in making sure that Everett is a place that we are all proud to call our home. Although 2020 presented the city with many new challenges and obstacles, these hurdles did not stand in the way of moving our city forward. While the pandemic remains, our community continues to see strong economic growth. Our finances continue to remain strong and stable. Our fiscal responsibility over the course of my tenure as mayor has allowed our city to remain not only afloat, but thriving during such an unprecedented time. At the outset of the pandemic, the city took full advantage of the options offered to us by the state. We delayed property tax payments and waived interest for those unable to pay. During this year's budget season, the administration took the unprecedented step to put in front of the City Council 3 months of continuing appropriations. Developing these budgets was no easy task. However, this has allowed the city to be adequately prepared for the present and the future. Together, we have done a great deal to ensure our fiscal health. Everett is growing at a rapid rate, and we continue to witness a large number of public and private investments in our city. These investments enhance the quality of life for all our residents by adding to our tax base and generating the revenues needed to improve the delivery of essential public services. Because of these investments, we are a safer city, a more educated city, a city where businesses are growing and creating jobs, A city with a strong, effective public school system, and a city that communities from across the nation look to for ideas and inspiration. Our private and public partners continue to work with us, ensuring that affordable housing and transportation remain at the top of our priority list. It is vital that we continue our collaboration and do what we can to ensure that our longtime residents can afford to remain in their homes. That includes increasing our housing stock, which will then regulate the cost of housing. I understand how important and truly personal housing affordability is to our community. This is why I am proud to say that the average single-family tax bill in Everett remains one of the lowest in Metro Boston region. A major affordable housing construction project is currently underway at 801 Broadway. The St. Teresa's project will be 77 senior citizen affordable units, with East Boston Neighborhood Health Center finding a home at the site as well. There will be a local preference for up to 70% of Everett residents. The affordability of these units range from 30% of the average median income to 80% of the average median income. This would translate to a typical one-bedroom having a monthly rent as low as $700. In addition to the 77 rental units, the project will also construct 6 new 3-bedroom townhouse condominiums, which will be for sale below market rate, marketed for first-time homeowners with a shared income from $80,000 to $100,000 a year. For the third year in a row, the City of Everett was issued a AA plus Standard & Poor bond rating. In issuing this rating, Standard & Poor's cited the city's strong management, strong budgetary performance, very strong budgetary flexibility, and low overall net debt. A positive rating like ours saves us millions of dollars when we bond for large capital improvement projects. In this year's rankings, the Boston Globe referred to the City of Everett as the top place to live north of Boston, calling it a winning bet, alluding to Everett's property owners hitting the jackpot over the past 5 years due to the increase in property values. The 2021 fiscal year has been labeled as uncertain for many municipalities due to the adverse effects of COVID-19. However, Everett's strong fiscal responsibility over the past decade has afforded us the ability to continue the pursuit of opportunities that may not be possible for many other communities. This past year has been full of uncertainties. Uncertainties for our families, for our city, and for our nation. However, through all of this, one thing remains the same. The City of Everett will continue to persevere through challenging times and remain fiscally responsible. Because of this, our community continues moving forward. Moving forward in Everett means looking differently at areas of the city and having the ability to see the places we all know in a new way, in a different way. We have made significant progress in revitalization of the commercial triangle, the area encompassing Revere Beach Parkway and 2nd Street in Everett. We have managed to reduce flooding and improve the roadway network. Our efforts, coupled with the partnerships we have fostered with developers in that area, allow for the integration of new economic growth and mixed-use development into an area that was long-time home to industrial uses, such as scrapyards and waste facilities. Our focus continues to remain on improving the city's amenities that make Everett the family-friendly community we love. In 2020, we updated Rossetti Park with new tennis courts and completed improvements at Werner Park, Meadows Park, and Appleton Street Park. We are currently working on Swan Street Park, Florence Street Park, and Shapiro Park. This spring, we will begin the renovations at Hale Park and Central Ave Park. Our community deserves clean, state-of-the-art recreational spaces for both children and adults alike to play and get exercise. I promise to continue to update and improve all of these green spaces. In addition to outdoor spaces, in 2020, we completed the renovation of the central fire station. And now, all three of our Everett fire stations provide our fire department with state-of-the-art facilities reflective of the city's appreciation for their service. While we are focused on growth and development as part of the city's future, we need to ensure that we are caring for Everett's environment. Today, the city of Everett's waterfront is being reborn, and we are restoring our residents a connection to our most valuable resource. The city has secured private investments in public funds as well as environmental expertise by Pam Shadley and nonprofit organizations to restore our waterfront. We've secured a $2 million MassWorks grant and have partnered with the Davis Company to uncover and daylight the Island End River. We've secured a $1.7 million federal hazard mitigation grant to install a tide gate on Island End River to prevent storm surge from flooding our neighborhoods. This year, we restored North Creek by removing polluted sediment, installing a gravel riverbed, and restoring the riverbank with a diversity of native plants to attract wildlife. This spring, we will do the same to South Creek. We treated and cut over 8 acres of invasive plants, allowing for restoration of native wetland plant communities and protecting fish and wildlife habitat. We have secured funding from the North American Wetlands Conservation Act to protect the wetland habitat along the Malden River. Thanks to the city's facilities maintenance department, the city built our first ever canoe and kayak launch at River Green Park. I'm eager to come together for the grand opening of this beautiful space in the spring and highlight Everett as a waterfront community. In partnership with the City of Chelsea, we have been working diligently to address a problem that our community has encountered for nearly 50 years. The Market Street Culvert, a stormwater culvert that collects several hundred acres of runoff in the cities of Everett and Chelsea, is being restored. Once finalized, this will promote strong economic development throughout the area. As a city, we care about both our economy and our environment. Caring about our environment means taking the necessary steps to reduce vehicular traffic. Transportation continues to remain a major priority for my administration. A reliable transportation system provides not only economic benefits, but helps to eliminate road congestion while providing enhanced accessibility to jobs. Through the Reimagined Broadway initiative, the City of Everett installed nighttime bus lanes on the northbound side of Broadway, in addition to the state's first bus lane in a rotary at Sweetser Circle. This established an additional mile of dedicated bus lane to reduce commuting times for our 15,000 bus riders. 3 more bus stops on Broadway were reconstructed with raised boarding platforms to assist individuals boarding the bus. At these stops, we added visual markers that indicate where people can stand, sit, or walk to help those waiting for a bus maintain a safe distance from other sidewalk users. Work also continues on even bigger improvements to the transit system in Everett. This year, the MBTA in the City of Everett began the feasibility study and preliminary design for the Silver Line extension, which will extend the current Silver Line bus rapid transit line in Chelsea through Everett towards Boston and Cambridge. The state has set aside $10 million for complete reconstruction of Sweetser Circle to accommodate the Silver Line and a future commuter rail station. We established a shared streets program which will slow down and limit car traffic in order to help create safe walking and biking connections to Broadway and nearby neighborhoods. We are rolling out a network of multi-lingual way-finding signs and mobility hubs that will include maps, real-time transit information, bike parking, and blue bike stations. We installed 20 new bike racks on Broadway to promote use of the bike lanes and promote easier access to bus stops and businesses. The city assisted local businesses in building parklets to increase outdoor dining. These parklets have transformed underutilized parking and asphalt spaces into mini urban areas. In 2020, we began a complete revitalization of the Northern Strand Bike Trail, including new lights along the entirety of the path. In just a few weeks, construction of the long-awaited extension from West Street to the Mystic River near the casino will begin, along with new access points to the trail at Parlin, Norman, and Appleton Streets. We continue to work with MassDOT and Encore to advance the design and construction of the Mystic River pedestrian bridge that will create a seamless trail network into Boston and Cambridge. Extending and improving the path has not only encouraged residents to walk and bike for exercise, but also provides a community with more non-automobile options to travel through the city and to their jobs and classrooms in Boston. Everett was the first city to pave its portion of the Northern Strand Trail almost 8 years ago. Thanks to the additional investments we are now making in the investments of our neighborhood communities and those of Governor Baker, the trail will soon extend all the way to Lynn and Nahant to the north and downtown Boston to the south. Our transportation initiatives would not be complete without upgrades to our roadways. In 2020, we repaved 2.5 miles of roadway, replaced 15,000 linear feet of sidewalk, installed and completed 4 raised crosswalks, filled 350 potholes to increase road safety. In 2020, the administration successfully advocated for and received a $32 million grant for the complete reconstruction of Ferry and Elm Streets. These 2 important corridors will be equipped with new pavement, sidewalks, traffic signals, bus stops, handicap ramps, bike lanes, and improved community space at Glendale Square. Mobility remains the key to sustained economic development and enhanced quality of life for our residents. A city remains strong when it focuses on maintaining its physical infrastructure. In 2020, City Service Department focused on removing lead services lines during a 10-phase plan. I am proud to share that we are ahead of schedule and have replaced over 180 lead service lines during Phase 1 and are on track to complete Phase 2 by the end of 2021. We also took a deep dive into our sanitary sewer system in 2020. Throughout the year, the city had 25 miles of sewer pipes cleaned and 1,890 linear feet of water main replaced. This improves the quality of residents' water and improves the water flow to fire hydrants and homes alike. In 2020, the city planted 145 new trees and removed 120 tree stumps. Not only will this improve the aesthetics of our community, but it will also increase air filtration. There were some pretty dark days in 2020. The new lighting throughout the city helped keep things bright. We upgraded 2,839 lights to LED and installed 343 decorative LED lights. This energy-saving initiative will save the city thousands of dollars in 2021. 2020 has come and made an everlasting mark. However, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the good that came out of the year. I had all my children under the same roof. Caroline and Carlo, who would, under normal circumstances, be away at college. We were able to sit down and enjoy home-cooked meals made by Stacy. I saw the inner workings of the Everett Public Schools as my daughter Alex was learning remotely. We started a tradition of getting around the table after dinner to play Uno. The small things are what stand out. In hindsight, this virus brought us closer to the ones we love while we were physically separated from our normal busy lives. It's now time to focus on 2021. We will continue to make strides toward bettering our community in all aspects, with transportation, capital improvements, and our infrastructure. The pandemic required the city to shift gears and adapt to a global crisis. However, we are ready to pick up where we left off and continue to move Everett forward. This next year, as we complete and update the city's capital improvement plan, you will see careful considerations made to better improve the delivery of services in the city. At the Conley Center, City Hall, Glenwood Cemetery, the Everett Police Department, in our 911 dispatch center, schools, our transportation system, housing, and affordable housing. In addition, we will be increasing the footprint of our existing urban renewal plan, adding the Lower Broadway Master Plan, Commercial Triangle, the GE parcel, and Everett Stadium. We have big goals, aggressive goals, but I'm confident that they can be accomplished. All of these goals will need careful consideration of the Everett City Council. We will need to work together to accomplish greatness for our city. I am proud that the vaccine has arrived in Everett and that our first responders have been vaccinated. Over the next year, I will work to ensure that our entire community has the opportunity to be vaccinated. I will work diligently to see that all Everett Public School children return back to the classroom. Despite all the hard work of our school staff, the pandemic has impacted our students' academic development and especially their social and emotional wellness. I look forward to visiting our children in their schools in the near future and to welcome our students back. In 2021, we will continue to assist our small businesses. You are the heart of our community, and I look forward to visiting each and every establishment in 2021 as we rebuild together. Until we have completely defeated COVID-19, please wear a mask, wash your hands, and practice social distancing. I am certain that we will have a better 2021. Together, we are a resilient community, and that we will remain. May God bless you, and God bless the city of Everett.